Hey there, welcome to Abundant Source Raw, and this video is going to be all about myself and my personal life. I've had a few requests and I've been thinking about doing a video like this for a while, and so I'm going to do that now. It's going to be a pretty long video. I've tried to do this video 3 other times in the past, but it's always been so long, and every time I go and edit these videos, I just sort of bore myself with my life story, and I feel like it's not all that interesting, but I've gotten a couple requests and I'm just going to put it out there for anybody who's interested in this, so you can kind of learn a little bit more about me, sort of who I am, where I came from, and my goals, qualifications, and living situation and all that. So first of all, my name's Hyatt Smith, and you can, if you'd like to follow me on any social media or, add me on Facebook or anything like that, then definitely you can go ahead and do that. I'd love to get to know all of you better, and I post a lot of interesting stuff on my Facebook that you all might like. I was born in Dallas, Texas, and right now I live in a city called McKinney, which is about 30 minutes away from Dallas, and I've lived here almost all my life. And right now I'm living at home with my mom. She is a chiropractor and a nutritionist, and I think she was one of the biggest influences as far as my passion for diet and a healthy lifestyle. My first years of schooling was in a private school called the Robert Mueller School, and I felt like that was such a great foundation for the start of my life because it was a really amazing school. It was all about freedom, and it was just kind of almost like this little hippie private school, and everybody was so loving and caring, and it was actually located at this woman's house, and she's an amazing woman, and she's what you'd call, I guess, the principal, and she had a lot of property, and we had a garden that we would tend to while we were doing our schooling, and it was just a really open-minded school, and I feel like it really shaped a lot of who I am. I feel like it was one of the best times of my life being at that school. I was there until 3rd grade, and it was really cool because we had tons of land that we were able to go all play around during recess, and we got really long recesses, and she had a bunch of wooded areas and a bunch of trees and stuff. We would all climb on the trees and go exploring in these wooded areas in her house, and just be super creative. It promoted so much creativity. They even let us use materials that were lying around the house, like boards, and we even were able to use hammers and nails as little kids. We were building forts on the properties, and building all different kinds of creative structures, because they just allowed us to do that, and it was amazing. They let us do a lot of our schoolwork and stuff like that outside, and some of us they would let us climb on top of the roof and do our schoolwork, and just it was really nice, really cool school, and so I cherish that that beginning part of my life a lot. And then after the 3rd grade, I was homeschooled up until the 6th grade, and then I decided I didn't feel like doing schoolwork anymore, so I stopped doing any type of schoolwork after the 6th grade. I've got no high school diploma, no college education, nothing like that. I just stopped doing all kinds of schoolwork and just focused on exactly what I wanted to do, which you would probably call unschooling. So I was unschooled after the 6th grade, and I was basically just free to do pretty much anything that I wanted. And unfortunately, at that time, I had gotten very big into video games. I was probably about 12 years old when I got an Xbox, and then basically spent the majority of my time playing video games, and basically that was how my life was until I was nearly about 20 years old. I was just playing a bunch of video games, and so that was basically just my world for so many years, pretty much until I found raw food, and then I gave up video games and raw food became my passion. But ever since I was super young, probably around the age of 14 or so, I always wanted to look for alternative ways of living, because I knew that I was going to be expected to get a job soon and have to start paying bills and things like that. And pretty much growing up throughout my whole teenage years, I was always thinking about how I could live a life where I didn't have to have a job and I didn't have to pay any bills. I didn't really care about having a cell phone. I was super secluded. I was very socially awkward through my teen years, and I really just did not care about having a lot of stuff, or being a part of this society that I saw was not what I wanted to do. Didn't want to have to be a slave and be stuck. That was the biggest thing for me, is I didn't want to be stuck and locked down and like an apartment or with a car payment or anything like that. I wanted to be free to go wherever I wanted, whenever I wanted, and not worry about all that. So probably at around the age of 14, I started looking into alternative ways of living, like where I could live in like a tent, or just somewhere that would be totally free and sustainable for me to live. And also around the age of 14 is when I went into a pretty deep depression for quite a few years. I had very little self-esteem. I was video games were pretty much my whole life. I was playing video games probably anywhere from 6 to 14 hours a day, basically every single day. It was rare that I did anything other than play video games for pretty much the whole day. And so I kind of felt like I was pretty worthless and like I didn't have anything to contribute to society. I felt very socially awkward and like I couldn't talk to people. I felt like I didn't have a whole lot of knowledge. I felt like I was, lacking a lot of common sense because I didn't go to school, and I didn't seem to have the same, lingo and knowledge that everybody else was taught in school. And so when I would get together with people and they would seem to all know the same stuff and I was totally clueless, then I just kind of chalked that up as me being stupid, pretty much. I didn't have my first girlfriend until I was 18, and that also was very depressing for me. I basically just thought that I was totally worthless for the most part, and that I was just going to be playing video games for most of my life and not really have any useful skills or anything to offer to the world. And I didn't think anybody was gonna want to date me or anything like that. And so I had all these what I thought were issues, and basically I would drown all that out with more video games. Video games were basically my addiction and my drug, and it was my escape mechanism. And so that's what I went to. Basically, I would, go to bed depressed every night, and then wake up in the morning and, get back on the computer and play more video games and just forget about it. And then when it was time to get off the video games, I would be depressed again, thinking about how I was going nowhere, and then, falling asleep to that and repeating that until I was probably about 17 years old. And that's when I started getting serious into more spirituality. I got my first job, which really helped with my social skills and kind of just really made me feel better about myself. I was kind of making my own money and doing my own thing at that point. And I was also starting to be more conscious of my diet, mostly because I was getting into spirituality and I wanted to have a clean body. I wanted to have, the greatest functioning body that I possibly could. And I really wanted to be the best that I could be at that point. And so I still didn't know hardly anything about vegetarianism or veganism or raw food. I didn't grow up with that, although my mom has been in nutrition for a long time. There's so much confusion in nutrition, and she did the best that she could with the knowledge that she had. but we still weren't aware of all the health benefits of, you know, not eating meat and dairy and stuff. For the most part, we pretty much thought that it was essential to eat that while I was growing up, so I did. And you know, I was pretty much brainwashed for until I was about 20 years old that, you know, we need meat to be optimal, so that's what I was eating. But I had heard of raw food when I was pretty young, and I knew raw food kind of in the back of my mind somewhere, that raw food was a good thing, because growing up my mom had friends who were actually raw vegans, and they would have raw potlucks, and I had actually been to a couple of those. I didn't really know, I was really young, and I didn't really know much about what was going on or anything like that. I just I kind of knew about raw food from that, and how raw food is, you know, superior, but I never really gave it much thought growing up. I just kind of remembered that I used to go to these raw vegan potlucks after I had found raw food on my own. And at around the age of 19, I had saved up a lot of money. I was working as a valet, and I was able to save up pretty much $20,000 at the age of 19. And so I ended up, I mean, I didn't really care that much about money. I was saving money because I didn't really spend my money on hardly anything but food and gas. And there wasn't really a whole lot that I cared to have, so I was pretty much just saving my money. I was, you know, living with my mom, and she didn't really make me pay hardly any bills or anything like that, so it was pretty easy for me to save up a lot of money. And so I had quite a bit at the age of 19, and I decided I wanted to try, and I had to do something. I really had to get out of basically the house, and I had to go see the world, and I wanted to have some adventure and some experience. So I wanted to try and walk across America from Florida to California. I had, you know, seen videos and different blogs and stuff of people that had done this, and it sounded so amazing to me that I really wanted to try and do this. So I ended up quitting my job and went out to Florida with a ginormous backpack. I was way more, I'd never really hiked much or camped, or I didn't know very much about any of that, and so I just way overstuffed my pack. I had so much unnecessary stuff, and it really was tiring to carry that thing. But the whole walk actually never ended up happening. I flew out to Florida, and I had a cousin that lived out there, so I planned on staying with her for about a week and then going on my walk. But I actually ended up staying with her for like 3 months. I attempted to go on the walk 2 times, and each time, I never got past the second day because I was scared, and because I had my cousin who could just pick me up at any time, I kind of just fell back on that and was like, well, I'll just go back and try this again later. And I kind of used my cousin as an out for my fear of going on this walk. So I ended up staying with her for like 3 months and not even going on the walk, but it was still a really amazing experience, and it really kind of taught me a lot and showed me a lot about myself. And so that was kind of my first real big alternative type of adventure. And while I was out there in Florida, I picked up a book on enzymes, and I was really trying to learn more about health and nutrition. And so I found this book on enzymes, and it was talking all about raw food. And when I read the book, I still wasn't thinking I'm gonna go and be a raw vegan at that point. I thought maybe there were probably like a handful of people on the planet that ate only raw foods when I read this book. I was just thinking to myself, wow, when I heard about raw food and how, that has all the enzymes, so it's super easy to digest, and how you would have basically the longest lifespan possible if you only ate raw foods. I imagine like super skinny yogis, like 120 years old up in the mountains, like only eating carrots and onions and bell peppers or something. And you know, in my mind I thought it was pretty extreme, but I also thought that that's what I wanted as well. I thought one day I want to be one of these like super old yogis up in the mountains, just like breathing in pure prana and eating raw food and living to, you know, be super old and wise. And so, you know, I just kind of kept that thought that, you know, one day I want to, at that point I was like, I do want to focus eating more raw foods, but I didn't take it too seriously. And then after I had gotten back from my trip to Florida, it was not too long after that, probably just a couple months after that, I went raw. And it was because me and my family were doing a cleanse. It's a popular cleanse that my mom does probably about twice a year or so, called the SP cleanse. And so I had attempted to do this cleanse a couple times in the past with her before, and so we were doing another one together with some of my other family members. And during that cleanse, I found a book on my mom's shelf called 12 Steps to Raw Food by Victoria Butenko, I believe is her name. And basically I read that book in just a couple days, and right after basically as I was reading the book, I knew that I was gonna just try and go raw overnight. And so that's pretty much what I did. I even dropped, you know, all the protocol for the cleanse that we were doing, because I was like, well, just eating raw food, which is pretty much what we were doing. The SP cleanse is pretty much all raw fruits and vegetables. But what I was thinking was just gonna kind of take it to just a step further, I feel like. So I dropped the SP cleanse protocol and just hopped straight into eating only raw food. And I think this was when I was 20 years old, and right at the moment I'm 22 years old. So I've only been into raw foods for about 2 years, a little over 2 years. So basically decided I was gonna go raw overnight, but at this point I still wasn't vegan. I read, you know, 12 Steps to Raw Food, and they talked about raw veganism, but I didn't think that raw veganism was going to be the healthiest. I was still very brainwashed into thinking that I needed meat to be optimal. I thought that they were only vegan, you know, for the animal, for the ethical reasons, and I thought that they were basically sacrificing their health for the animals. And so that's the idea I had in my head, and I thought, well, that's cool and I respect that, but I don't want to you know, sacrifice my own health. You know, I want to be as optimal as possible, and in my mind I thought that I needed meat for that. So I was basically what you would call raw primal, or like raw paleo, for basically the first 2 months that I was raw. So I was eating raw meat. And I actually used to work at Chipotle. I was working at Chipotle when I switched over to raw foods, and I would get like a salad bowl there, because we would get a free meal every day that we worked. And so I would get a salad, and a lot of the time I would have them cut me up some raw beef or raw chicken and just put it in the salad, and I would just be eating raw beef or raw chicken or whatever, probably a few times a week, probably maybe 3 times a week I was eating some raw meat. And it wasn't really, you know, disgusting to me or anything, although I still was adding like a lot of herbs and spices and things like that to the meat. It wasn't, you know, totally plain, so I can't say that I really, you know, the taste was okay. And sushi used to be my favorite food when I was still eating the SAD diet, and so I basically just thought of it like sushi, like a piece of salmon or something like that. And so it didn't really bother me that much to eat these foods. And also because I thought that it was good for me, and I just told myself, well, this is how we did it, you know, since since the beginning in the caveman days. You know, this is just how we ate our food. It was all raw. But after about a month and a half or 2 months or so, uh, I would go into Chipotle and I would think, you know, there was a time where I hadn't eaten any meat for like a week, and I was like, man, I really should eat some meat. I didn't really feel like eating meat. I mean, it didn't sound that appealing to me, but I was so, you know, psychologically programmed that we need meat, that I was thinking that I should eat some meat, or you know, I'm gonna be missing out on something. I didn't know what. I never actually knew what. I just thought that there was probably something in meat that plants didn't provide or something. And so you know, just all that brainwashing and programming. And so I didn't even really feel like having the meat, but I would go in and think, well, I should probably get some meat today. But I would just look at the meat and go, it doesn't look appetizing, it doesn't look appealing. Just a raw vegan salad sounds so much better. And so that's when I really started looking into veganism, because I was like, okay, my own body now is telling me that it doesn't want meat. I mean, it doesn't even sound good anymore. I have basically no more attraction to eating meat, no more want to eat the meat. And that's when I was like, okay, I guess maybe there could be something to this veganism, and I need to look into that. And that's when I watched like Forks Over Knives, and just did a bunch of other research, and found like Marcus Rothkranz, and heard him talk about raw veganism, and it just made so much sense. I felt so ridiculous for not being able to see all this before. So at that point, I cut out all the meat and dairy. I was also still eating like raw cheeses and stuff when I first went raw. So I cut all that out, and then I was raw in total for about 6 months when I first went raw. And then I got into this business. It was a you know, network marketing business with my family, and I actually had plans to go to Hawaii. I was about to just like, I had pretty much no money at this point. I had spent pretty much that whole nearly $20,000 that I had saved up, all in like a year and a half. And just kind of, you know, I didn't work for like a year and a half. I was just spending it because I didn't really care. I didn't care about money. I didn't care about having a place to live or anything like that. You know, I just spent my money because I could, I guess, and didn't care about having a plan. And so at this point, after about 6 months of raw vegan or raw foodism, I was planning on, I had maybe $500 left. I was just about to book a ticket to Hawaii, and I'd probably be there with maybe $100 or $200, no income, anything like that. I was just gonna go and see what happens, because that's what was calling to me at that time. And then right before I planned on booking my ticket, I go to one of these meetings, network marketing meetings with my family, and you know, it wasn't really anything I was too interested in, but my whole family was. There was like, so my whole family basically signed up for it, and I told them no at first, but then I kind of thought about it and thought, well, maybe this is something that I'm supposed to do. You know, my whole family's getting in, maybe we can make this a fun thing, and we'll get all our friends, and it'll be a cool little business we can do. So I ended up getting in, and then basically focusing all my attention on this business for like about a year. And basically I made this business my priority, trying to make money my priority. And so I ended up caving into some cooked food, and I also didn't have pretty much any money to buy fruit. I was broke at this point, and I didn't have any money to keep buying a whole bunch of fruit, you know, to fill me up like I was able to before. So I started eating some cooked food, and totally got addicted again. And a few months after eating cooked food, I don't know what happened, but I ended up eating some meat again, and then totally, I was like pretty much 100% back on the sad diet. I don't know Like, it was so shocking to me that I had let myself do that, but I was totally addicted again, and you know, not even vegan at this point, and that went on for about 6 months until I was just tired of feeling like crap. I was able to make quite a bit of money in the company, but you know, I was seeing my health go down. I was just seeing, I was pretty much, I could see myself choosing this path of money and business, and it was not my purpose, and I could feel it, and you know, I was making it my priority, and I knew that it was just not what I was supposed to be doing. And so after about 8 months, I started to really make health my priority again. I started, you know, really trying as hard as I could to become raw vegan again. And it was really tough. I thought it was going to be so easy because I had been 6 months on raw food before in the past, and I had seen the benefits, and I knew how amazing I felt on fruit, and it was so hard for me to get back into raw food the second time around. I didn't understand what was going on, so it's definitely been a struggle getting back to raw food since then, but I have been totally raw for about 3 months now, with only one slip up. I had one cooked sweet potato about a month ago, and that's been the only cooked food I've had for about 3 months. So I've been pretty happy with my progress right now. And just a couple months after I went raw the first time, I discovered the Woodstock Fruit Festival, and so I went to that just a couple months after going raw, and that was the greatest week of my life. I've been to the Woodstock Fruit Festival 2 years in a row now, and I'm sure I'll be going again this year, so I hope I'll get to see you there. It'll be the best week of your life if you've never been. But yeah, I think all that pretty much brings me to right now. My current diet, I've been eating about 95% fruit, and for like the past, well, not the past 3 months, but here lately, probably in the past like month or so, it's been about 95% fruit, and the rest of it is just raw, maybe like a salad every once in a while, or something like a packaged raw type of thing, which I rarely eat, but sometimes I will. And as far as like what I'm doing with my life right now, I had just gotten a job a few months ago working at a restaurant, and it was definitely not somewhere I wanted to work. It was you know, not a vegan place whatsoever, and you know, I was just serving a lot of crappy food, and there was a lot of grease and stuff getting on me all the time while I was working there, and it just was not, you know, I knew I was working for money, which I didn't want to be doing. I didn't want to be a slave just so I could get some money, and especially in the environment that I was working in. So I actually, I quit that job actually just yesterday. Was my last day. And still don't really have any money right now, but I don't really care that much, and I'm just kind of trusting in myself, and you know, trusting in the source, and I'm just gonna take this time to do a lot of meditation and get centered, and you know, I don't really like to worry about anything. I don't like to worry about money. Money still definitely has a big hold on me, but not as much as it used to. I feel like it's like I'm getting over money almost completely at this point. I can still see that it's got a pretty good grip on me, but it's nice to see that I'm overcoming it, and I've made a lot of progression towards undoing the spell of money and work and all that. And so I'm hoping now to start putting out a lot more YouTube videos. I know I haven't been putting them out very recently, and so I want to just keep sharing this. I want to just keep raising my own consciousness and keep sharing, you know, this information with everybody, keep sharing raw food and health and you know, awareness. And I just kind of want to be able to offer myself to you, to anybody, to the world, to just be of service in any way that I can. You know, I want to give any coaching or anything that I can to anybody who is interested in it, and I really don't want to charge anybody for it. I just want everybody to be the best that they can be, and to be thriving, and to be conscious, and that's all I really care about. So if you ever want to contact me, then definitely don't be afraid to. You know, my biggest worry right now is that I am not gonna have enough money to, you know, basically get all the fruit that I want. That's basically my only concern. The only thing I really feel like I need money for is because I do still live here in the city in Babylon, and while I'm living here, at least in the situation I'm in right now, I do have to buy my fruit in order to have enough, and so that's kind of my only real concern. I guess ideally right now I hope to just work off of donations. If anybody has really enjoyed my videos or have found them helpful or any way, you know, and you feel like you would like to support me in any type of financial way, then, you know, donations would probably be my ideal thing. I don't want to ever have to charge anybody for anything. I don't want to have to charge people to, you know, coach them on health or lifestyle, or, you know, to charge for any type of courses or classes or any information like that. I want to be able to just give it out, and I'm gonna do that no matter what. I wouldn't charge anybody for really anything, probably no matter what, but it would be very helpful if you do feel called to give to this channel and support me, and make it easier for me to, you know, keep on making these videos and keep on doing all this for free. Then I do have a little donation area on my YouTube page that you can donate to if you feel called to do so. But other than that, I don't really have any plans at the moment. I don't plan on really working or doing anything. I'm just gonna kind of go wherever I want and listen to the guide inside and go off of that, and not really have any fear about the outcome or whether I'm gonna have enough money or anything like that. I just want to trust in the universe and really just serve others to the best of my ability. That's all I really feel like I'm here to do, and, you know, I don't really care that much about the predicaments of this one body and mind. But I think that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully I covered most of everything that you were hoping to know about me, and if I didn't, then you can ask me any questions you want in the comments, or any other place that you want to ask me. You can go ahead, and hopefully you enjoyed the video and you enjoyed hearing about the life of Hyatt, and thank you so much for watching, and I will talk with you in the next video.